BYU improves to 6-0 on the season after taking down Arizona 33-27 in double overtime. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland here from Tucson, Arizona. We were inside Arizona Stadium watching this insane game unfold. Double overtime when BYU was down 24-14, Kyle. I thought this just might not be BYU's night. Bear Bachmeier had different plans. What a game for BYU.
Yeah, I think it's a little reminiscent to a season ago, right? It seemed like there were multiple times where BYU's undefeated streak would come to an end. I think about the Oklahoma State game where they improbably came back at the end of that one to win a game where it seemed like they were down and out in the fourth quarter. And I think a little bit of that tonight, it was interesting, Mitch, because you think about the way this game started. BYU started really positively in this game, going up 14-0. You think about how different that is compared to the way they started the Colorado game where they were in a 14-0 hole. You thought BYU was going to maybe roll in this game early on. Then all of a sudden the rain hits the end of the first quarter. They go into an hour and 14-minute weather delay, and it really seemed like from that point on, a lot of things did not go BYU's way.
Bear Bachmeier in double overtime scores on a 7-yard touchdown run to give BYU a 33-27 lead in double overtime, and then the defense stands strong and gets a stop against Noah Fifita and the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona's a good football team. I think they're going to be a team that reaches a bowl game, but I will say this is going to be one that takes a little bit of the sails out of Arizona. I think I'm very curious to see how they respond, but they are much improved from a season ago, and I look at this game as one that BYU should be proud of getting this win. This isn't some, what about style points? No. You found a way to win on the road against a good football team in the Big 12. Huge night for BYU. And as you noted, Kyle, it started out strong for BYU, 14-0. But the weather, the much-discussed weather this week, actually did hit. And it caused the weather delay of about an hour and 14 minutes. It was a clean break, though, right at the end of the first quarter. Before a play was even snapped in the second quarter, there was the weather delay. The issue was primarily lightning because everyone's saying, well, there's no rain. Why are they doing a weather delay? It's because lightning was within an 8-mile radius of the stadium, and with the attire that you wear in football, it's probably not the best thing to be having potentially lightning in the area, so that caused the delay, an hour and change. It was a long night. It was a marathon game, and then BYU comes out of the weather delay, and they kind of stumbled out of the gates. They had that drive where they decided to go for a fake punt. It feels like that kind of turned the momentum there from that moment.
Yeah, 4th and long. I want to say it was 4th and 9, 4th and 10 on that one.
4th and 9.
It was one of those plays where, Kalani kind of alluded to it in the postgame. It was like, maybe a little too aggressive there.
They shouldn't have called that.
And you've seen that from Kalani over his tenure as BYU's head coach. There have been times where they've been a little too aggressive. Some of those times have paid off and have really done, some positive things for BYU. That wasn't one of them. And I think that, a lot of that, he mentioned how Sam Vanderhaar, the punter that was the one who ran that there, kind of beat himself up over not getting the first down. That was just a play that was kind of set up to fail. That's a long distance for a punter to try and execute a fake punt on. But I think from that point on, you saw Keanu Tanavasa gets ejected from the game. You saw Bear Bachmeier throw 2 interceptions in this game as well. There were just a lot of little things where BYU was stumbling.
Will Ferrin missed a 42-yard field goal.
They just weren't acting like the team that we've seen when they've been playing at their best.
And what they were in the first quarter. Getting off to a 14-0 start. That run by L.J. Martin was excellent. 28-yard touchdown. Parker Kingston showing off the Jets. 75-yard touchdown catch. BYU was flying high. And then they go into the locker room with that weather delay, and it's like they came out short. They came out flat out of that weather delay, and that's hard. We talked about it after the game on the field privately, how challenging that must be to just have the adrenaline going and then suddenly come to a complete halt. But Arizona captured some momentum, and really BYU, they gave up 24 unanswered points. Arizona was rolling. You fast forward to the fourth quarter, 11 minutes to go. Arizona's up, 24-14, and it looked like it was game over. I thought it's just not BYU's night. BYU, though, responds with a field goal drive from Will Ferrin. But keep in mind, that drive, 7 minutes, and BYU's got they're down 2 possessions. I'm thinking, where's the tempo? Where's the pace, the urgency? I asked Kalani in the post game about that. I'd have to go back and run the tape of what Kalani said exactly, but I thought the pace was just a bit slow. That kind of confused me a little bit.
Yeah, he didn't seem very worried about the time on the last drive either as well. I mean, he's like, oh, they scored with, I think it was, 18, 19 seconds left in the game. And he's like, oh, we left some seconds out on the clock. It's like, yeah, but like having the urgency when you're behind, you would think that was paramount, especially on that Will Ferrin
They
field goal
were
drive.
moving so slow.
Yeah.
It felt like, guys, do you understand?
It was like a first quarter drive.
Because then it got to a point where it was absolutely do or die. The defense has got to get a stop. Yep. And they did. And they responded. But you were getting close to that breaking point, whereas if you kind of moved with a little bit faster pace, maybe could have had more cracks at that thing. It created a situation where you were in do or die.
Well, they had to convert a 4th down conversion on that drive late, and they also had right before that, Chase Roberts drops a ball that hits him right in the hands. I mean, it seemed like BYU had to overcome so many things, so many little pieces of adversity in this game, and I think that if you look back to the last 3 games, Mitch, there's been some commonality with the adversity that BYU's been able to face. They've obviously faced it, they've overcome it in each of these games, but they have yet to play a full 60-minute football game this season, in my opinion, because I don't count Portland State. Like, that game is what it is. You can't learn a lot from a 69-0 game over an FCS opponent, but to be able to be 6-0 for the second straight season, first time in program history that has happened, like, that's a remarkable accomplishment. But the fact that BYU still hasn't played to their ceiling yet, I think that bodes well for this team moving forward, especially when you've got rivalry week next week. And I think that there are a lot of things that BYU is going to go back and look at on this tape, and they're going to say, if we clean up these things, like, this is how good we can be. They haven't shown it yet so far this season, Mitch.
Here's a stat that kind of blows me away, the final numbers, because at times in the second half when BYU was struggling, I felt like Arizona just always had answers. Arizona was 4 of 17 on third downs, but they were also 4 of 6 on fourth downs. There were stretches where BYU's defense just couldn't get the stop on the money downs. They did have that one, though, in the red zone where Isaiah Glasker comes up with a pick on fourth down. Either way, incomplete or interception, BYU was going to get the ball. I thought that was a big moment for BYU's defense. But it was, a mixed bag tonight for BYU's defense. It wasn't all perfect. And this was a game touted as 2 of the best defenses in college football. I thought in stretches, both of these defenses played quite well. BYU ends up with 430 total yards. Arizona, 383, 219 through the air was the Wildcats, 164 on the ground for Arizona. BYU, 258 on the ground, 172 passing yards. And, despite all the ups and downs in this game, Kyle, BYU found a way to get this thing to overtime. And, we were down at field level watching this unfold late into the game. Bear Bachmeier, 2-yard touchdown run. Did you agree with the decision to not go for 2 and just to go with the extra point? I'll admit, I kind of thought just go for the extra point because all the momentum was on BYU's side. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, not to, it's always better radio, better podcasting when I can disagree, but I do think in this scenario, Mitch, like, you had the momentum at that point. And that also played into the overtime periods as well. It felt like BYU, when they got that touchdown late in the game, it was like, okay, this is the first time BYU's had the momentum since the first quarter.
I thought that, Bear Bachmeier said in the post game that the thought was that they were going to go for 2 and go win the thing. But yeah, I think it was good. And maybe it was a case of, that fake punt maybe caused a little too aggressive. Maybe that turned them into a little bit conservative in that spot. But it just kind of felt like the right move. But then I'll admit, in the overtime, I had a little bit buyer's remorse because Arizona moved with ease on BYU. And Arizona, there was a penalty that took away a touchdown, and then they had to settle for a field goal. BYU then scores a field goal of their own. It was just a wild, crazy game, and somehow BYU found a way to end up on top with Bear Bachmeier scoring a 7-yard touchdown run, and you had a great vantage point of that play. Bear is gritty. He finishes the night with 20 2 carries for 89 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 12 of 29 passing, 172 through the air, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 41% completion rate. Ugh.
Not great.
You don't like that, but he found a way to get it done.
Yeah, at one point I looked over at you and I was like, if you take away the Parker Kingston touchdown from the first quarter, he was like 3 of 11 for 31 yards at one point in the second half.
You take it away from the final number, it's 97, passing yards. So there's a lot of room to grow, but you got to commend the grittiness, the toughness of his ability late in a game. There's a little bit of I don't want to say clutch factor, but I mean, he just rose to the occasion when they needed it the most. It wasn't pretty. It kind of was the full experience that you kind of expect from a true freshman. Some bad decisions, some head-scratching mistakes, but at the end, the good maybe outweighed the bad because you came out on top.
Yeah, I think one thing that BYU's learned over the last 3 weeks, you go back to the Colorado game where he ran for 98 yards. I think that Aaron Roderick knows that, I mean, he averaged 4 yards per carry tonight. To be able to run for 3-4 yards a pop with your quarterback, and you're going to win a lot of football games when you're able to do that, especially when you have a guy like LJ Martin who's in the backfield who ran the ball for a career-high yardage and a career-high in carries tonight with 25 carries and I believe it was 162 yards. I think that tandem, to be able to run the ball the way BYU has been able to and did tonight, it's a nice way to help this team at the midway point of the season really find an identity, I think, to be able to lean on that, because Parker Kingston talked about this in the postgame as well. The way that running game can help open up things for this offense. Bear obviously has to make better decisions. And Kalani said, hey, it'd be nice if you could learn as a true freshman without throwing those interceptions. But, those things were to be expected. I think back to your interview that you had with Hank Bachmeier before the season started. And he was kind of like, there's going to be some of these learning moments with Bear Bachmeier, but you do see the positives as well. And it does seem like Bear, every single game, we're learning something new about him. And he definitely has the it factor, the moxie that you want from your starting quarterback.
Here's some numbers that kind of blew me away at the final box. Only combined 9 penalties. But and I say that because 5 penalties for BYU, 42 yards. 4 penalties for Arizona, 28 yards. That blows me away because it feels like the penalties that were called were massive. You think about Keanu Tanavasa's late hit, unnecessary roughness.
What did you think about that one real quick?
That one was fine. I was okay with it watching the replay. The helmet. The one on Glasgow was stupid. That was terrible. Help me understand how that was unnecessary roughness. If that was unnecessary roughness, what can defensive players do? I don't understand how that was unnecessary roughness. Maybe I have to go back and watch it and see maybe the verbiage, the to the T, the rule book. That to me was just Isaiah Glasgow playing with violence and making a great play. The Keanu Tanavasa one, I'm fine with. That's okay. And it worked out because he did get ejected in the second quarter, so he's not going to miss time against Utah.
Yep.
Which, because it's after that long weather delay, I'm like, what day is it? What time is it? The whole hour behind thing here in Arizona just confused me completely. It's so weird. But the penalties were massive in this game. Arizona on the final drive for BYU at the end of regulation, where Bear Bachmeier scores a touchdown with 19 seconds to go. 2 pass interference calls. And I was having flashbacks to the Utah game last year. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. The Big 12 refs. Is some AD, is Desiree Reed-Francois going to come onto the field and say, that's why we fired you? It was high intensity. Those penalties, when they were called, they were massive. They were big ones. But that Glasgow one just blew me away. I was floored by how that. And then the thing is, no targeting. How is it unnecessary roughness? I don't know. I'm still confused by that one. That one just confused me. Also, too, on the penalty front, Logan Latui in the offsides now. Yeah. 4th down. It didn't cost you points. It didn't cost you points. You get the stop. John Talmai gets the tackle. They get a stop. And he's called for an offside 2nd time. 3rd time in 2 weeks. What are we doing here? We got to end that. You're a senior. You're one of the leaders of this team. That has got to end. Now, look, it's not a personal thing at Logan, but it's just, that's inexcusable. That can't happen, period. That's got to end now. I thought a guy that was rotating in a little bit with Logan Tausili Akana, I thought he did some nice things. Look, I love Tausili coming out of fall camp. It's kind of blown me away that he hasn't played much. Logan is reliable, but when you make those mistakes on the offsides, man, that's inexcusable. You cannot do that. They got to get that fixed going forward.
Yeah, I mean, how many things have we mentioned so far tonight? Just little errors, Mitch.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing that BYU managed to come out with a 6-point victory in this game because you think about just the swing of momentum, those 24 unanswered points, like so much of that played into Arizona's hands. I mean, no, not to take away from Arizona. Noah Fifita played a really nice game, I thought.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
He had a throw on the second half. It was a dot. It was a third down. Rolls to his right. It was a laser, man. That was a beautiful ball. He's a good player.
I mean, his touchdown passes that he had, I mean, drop it in a bucket in the end zone. I mean, just some plays where you're like, I mean, he's a great quarterback, and you expect to see that from those types of athletes, those types of players in the Big 12 when, that position is paramount in this league. But I think that when you talk about these little mistakes, these little errors, if BYU can just correct a few of them, it's a completely different game. Like, it doesn't go into double overtime. Things get fixed really, so much earlier on. I think back, I mean, as we're talking, another one pops in my mind. That last drive in the fourth quarter, Bear fumbles the football. They recover it, but like the Bear drops the ball on the ground when he's reaching out to get more yardage. Like,
third and 2,
little things you gotta clean it up.
3rd and 2 on the Arizona 8-yard line. Kyle Safarchuk comes up with the fumble recovery. Maybe he should be the MVP of the night.
I mean, game's over right there if BYU doesn't recover.
If he doesn't get that ball, it's over. We're talking about a completely different game. So Kyle Safarchuk, here's your flowers, because that was a massive fumble recovery, and Bears got to clean that up. Like, at the end of it all, you look at it and go, he got it done. But things like that, man, that can make the feel-goods go away quick, because you know who's looming, and that's Utah next week, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But, BYU, you feel good about this win, but you got a lot to clean up. You got a lot to work on. And the thing is, too, this defense is banged up, man. You lose Raider to Mooney early in the game. I thought Raider was playing some good football, too. He takes a shot to the rib cage from Cialia Serra's helmet, kind of hits his rib cage. He goes to the sideline. Jack Kelly tried to give it a go. I thought it was the right move that they did not play him, because just get right. It tells everyone.
You know what's coming up next.
Well, it tells everyone you're much farther ahead than you would have thought last Friday.
Yeah.
Because on Friday last week against West Virginia, you thought Jack might be done. Like, when you're just watching it, you're seeing a sling. He's in street clothes. Oh, no, this could be the worst. And then the fact that a week later, 8 days later, he's even able to go through warmups and become a game-time decision, well, that gives you a lot of optimism that, another 7 days from now, he's probably going to be able to play against Utah. We'll see how that develops over the course of the week, but you're down Jack Kelly. You then lose Keanu Tanavasa due to the targeting. You lose Raider to Mooney. I mean, Cialia Serra got banged up. Isaiah Glasker's going through his deal. I mean, he was wearing a little bit of an elbow brace on his, let's see, I'm trying to think, right arm. He had a little bit of a brace there that I've never seen from Glasker. Saw him in the postgame. Talking with Gary Anderson down on the field. But
Tanner Wall got shaken up in overtime.
Great pull, and he came back into the game, which was good to see. But banged up group, and to just withstand the ebbs and flows, the highs, the peaks, the valleys of this game, it's just a good win. But there's so much to improve with this team. And look, I know Cougar fans are still wired a little bit like the days of the Mountain West and the Independence, where style points, this and that. Look, I don't think the national media is going to give you your respect, even though this is a good win. I'm telling you, Arizona, you look at that secondary.
Sure.
They got some dudes, man. Arizona's got talent on that defense. Brent Brennan, if people are patient with him at Arizona, I don't think this part of the state of Arizona is just bought into football. Like, there was no energy going into the stadium. This town was a ghost town.
That stadium should have been full of people tonight.
It's like 30 minutes before kick. We're thinking, is anyone going to show up? Is anyone here? Does anyone care? And I get it, weather, but it's like 5-0 BYU, 4-1 Arizona. When are you going to show up? If you're not going to show up for this game. But if they're patient with Brent Brennan, he's going to get that thing going. I thought they were much improved from what they were a season ago, and I think better days are ahead for Arizona football. But I don't think people are going to look at it. They're just going to say, oh, BYU's a fraud. The close call, lucky BYU, finding a way to win. That was what the narrative was last year. That doesn't matter. Just do your thing and get wins. Just stack up wins. Take a page from Kevin Young and say, stack those days, man, and go get a win, because that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, you better stay as close to perfect as you can, because I don't think many teams are going to knock off Texas Tech, and you got to play Texas Tech. And if you want to actually get to Arlington, I know that sounds like a distant thought right now with, the ups and downs of this game, but still, that's the goal here. You got to be close to perfect. So just getting a win, no matter how it comes, that's all that matters.
And the fact that it came on the road, Mitch. Like, this wasn't a home game.
Huge.
I just think that there are a lot of, as much as you can look at the negatives of this game, they still won. They're 6-0. Like, that's a hard thing to do. Hasn't happened back-to-back seasons in program history. Like, that kind of blows my mind that hasn't happened before. Like, that's a big accomplishment under Kalani Sitake.
And you've only got 6 games left.
Yep.
And you've already hammered out or knocked out 2 of the road games. So you're now even, 3-3, home and away. So that's nice. It's equal now, the schedule in terms of 50-50 remaining. Whereas initially it was 5 road, 4 home. Sounds simple, but that's challenging. And you've already got the first 2 road games taken care of in Big 12 play. It's tough to win on the road in this league. TCU learned that today against Kansas State. It's hard to win on this league. Iowa State at Colorado. Oh, that bad Colorado team.
Yep.
I'm not saying Colorado was great, but again, this league is highly competitive.
Got to be on your
what
game every week.
You knew last week or what you saw last week doesn't necessarily carry over to the following week. It's a tough league. And so BYU just finding a way to get it done. That's all that matters. And, asking Kalani Sitake in the postgame about what's next with Utah and what this does for this team going forward. And he did say he just wants these guys to enjoy the win and not maybe get too worked up about next week. He's obviously excited about that. I mean, Kalani, this team, they don't take the page of like, it's the Super Bowl, but this game's going to mean a lot, BYU and Utah. But I think it's the right approach to say, hey, enjoy this win, because that was a gritty, tough, hard-earned win, because it was a marathon. It was a 5+ hour game they had to go through to get that thing done.
Yeah. I think back to the Colorado game, Mitch, because another imperfect game, but they come out with a victory in the way that one ended. There was a lot of excitement with Glasgow sealing the game with that interception. Last week, they win by 2 touchdowns, but there was a lot of disappointment. Talked about it even in the postgame tonight, how they didn't have the energy that they wanted to have a week ago. Tonight, the way that this one ends, really exciting finish, and then it seemed like spirits were pretty high for the team after that game. It's interesting the way that the games end. You can kind of overlook some of the mistakes to revel in the joy and, the fact that you did come out with the victory. I thought that was a positive for BYU tonight. The fact that, despite all the mistakes, they did come out with a victory. Everybody was excited. I mean, the on the field celebration, everybody was ecstatic.
Oh, yeah, as they should. And who else should be excited? And it's maybe not the big storyline tonight, but I think it is long-term going forward. Will Ferrin.
Yeah.
That kick in overtime, down 27-24, you've got to have it. And
we looked over at each other and we're like, this is the moment. We're going to find out if Will's got his mojo back. If it's truly the way that he looks at things, where it's one kick at a time, because he missed another one earlier in this game. That's 3 games in a row, Mitch, where he's missed a field goal.
Ferrin comes through. 45-yarder, boots it through the uprights, clutch.
Yeah.
And that's so great for Will, because, he had a miss tonight. He missed a 42-yarder, which, anything from 40 and in, you think it's automatic. Anything even, honestly, up to 45, you feel like it's automatic with Ferrin. So for him to miss a 42-yarder, pretty crazy. He had a 24-yarder in the fourth quarter, as we said earlier, 4:08 remaining. And then in overtime, he boots a 45-yarder with the game on the line. Happy for Ferrin, because I just think that gets him back to, maybe not back, because I think he's always in the same mental space. He always is, whether he misses or makes it. But I just think for fans to just feel like, he's going to make it. And there's just confidence there in that he's going to be a guy that you can turn to. I thought that was a huge moment. It was funny, though, a couple plays before in that overtime, it was 2nd and 10, I think, Bear Bachmeier. I'd have to go back. We were on field level, so it's kind of tough to see. I think it was a design quarterback keeper for Bear, and he just gets stopped at the line of scrimmage. It was funny seeing some former players on the sideline. I think it was Ty Mattingly, former national champion. He's just getting ticked, just like, oh, come on. Like, people are just getting fired up on the sideline saying, gosh, they want this game. And you can just see the emotion from everyone involved that they wanted this game so badly. And You look, BYU against teams from the state of Arizona, Arizona State, Arizona. These are some thrilling games, man. This is
Coming down the wire.
good. Big 12 football games with BYU. How can you not love it? It's magical. Like, BYU is just producing some epic finishes since they joined this league.
It is kind of crazy how many of these games have come down to the wire, Mitch.
Oh, yeah.
And for the most part, I feel like BYU's, rose to the occasion of the moment.
Outside of ASU and, Oklahoma State 2 years ago. That was an overtime, but BYU's good TV, man. Like, you got to stay up late. You got to, even you think, it's 6 o'clock kick in Utah. Yeah, you still got to about 11 p.m. Like, but you're going to stay up late, but it's good content.
This season they've had this one. They've had Colorado. You had Oklahoma State, Utah last year. There's been a handful even in the last year where you're just like,
SMU last year.
Just gritty wins by this BYU team. One other issue that popped up in my brain that I wanted to bring up, because I just keep on thinking of the mental errors that this team had tonight. You talk about late in the game with Will kicking. Think about that extra point on Bears' touchdown to tie it in the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The snap, Mitch. Like that. There's just little things where it's like,
it's a good point.
That snap was not clean. And then I think back to the
pick
play where Bear threw the pick and Bruce
high snap.
It's just like those little things have caught. Like that one was a mistake on top of a mistake that made things worse. But you just think about, like, if that extra point, which is such a routine thing, if that operation is not clean, BYU loses by a point.
Yeah,
like
the PAT, Cosmo's to my left celebrating like, they've already tied it. Like, Cosmo, pump the brakes, buddy. Like, they got to make this PAT.
Yep.
I've seen too many crazy games. Like, hold on there, Cosmo, because he's doing the 6 and the 0. Like, whoa, Cosmo. Like, I love you, dog. I love you, cat. But like, you got to pump the brakes here, buddy. And yeah, Bruce Mitchell. We got to see improved snaps. We saw some issues in fall camp from Bruce. That high snap, though, that ultimately Bear tried to force the issue, takes a shot downfield. From the replay where they showed the all-22 footage, you can see what he was seeing. Like, Carson, I believe it was Carson Ryan was the intended receiver. He was wide open, and then the defender just closed. And great closing speed.
He should have just thrown the ball away or ran it on that play.
You love the intent, but you got to know sometimes, hey, live to see another day, man. Live to see another day, because that was an unnecessary mistake. So Bear had moments where he was a freshman. It happened. And it's just taken, game 6. And you like the fact that it's taken this long for him to have some freshman moments. You hope, though, now he gets them out of his system, because the quality of the competition is going to continue to level up. I think with Utah, that's going to, you know what that is. I don't care what Utah's record is. That game is going to put you through the grinder, and it is going to be 3 weeks wrapped into one. That's what BYU versus Utah is. And now you've got conference implications where both teams have so much on the line. That is going to be epic stuff. Iowa State, I'm kind of fading them. Like, I'm feeling kind of good about BYU's chances maybe against Iowa State. Texas Tech's going to be that's going to be a grinder too. And then TCU, I don't know what to think on them. Like, the Big 12's so wild, man. But they got to tighten up some things where clean up those controllables. You got to tighten up the snaps. You can do a lot better job of that. We know Bruce Mitchell can be an elite center. Yeah. So that's uncharacteristic for him. But he's had these moments where you just go, this is happening too often. Got to get this over with now so this doesn't become a reoccurring issue. But there's a lot to like about this game, Kyle, for BYU. Beyond just the win, I thought some individual performances for the Cougars defensively. Siale Acera, 16 tackles, a career high for Siale. I'll tell you, it's easy. It sounds like, of course you're saying this now because he just had a career high tackles. But I'm telling you, on the field pregame, dude looked like he was locked in. Justin Ennis said in an interview I had with him this week, linebacker coach for BYU, he's like, I want Siale to be more mean, the way he plays, a little more violent. You saw that. I thought Siale
he stepped up tonight.
Was big time. 16 tackles, 6 solo, half tackle for loss, pass breakup, quarterback hurry. I liked what I saw from Siale. How about Falatau Satuala? 11 tackles.
What a tackle for loss that he had, Mitch. Big time.
He's got great speed, great athlete. He is a playmaker. We're talking about him every single week. And remember, he's only a sophomore. And look, I love Raider to Mooney, and they need him back. But Falatau, it gave him kind of the runway to just be full-time with Tanner. And he had great production there. I thought he was really good. I liked what I saw from Bodie Schoonover, too. He had a nice quarterback hurry in the second half. I thought he did some nice things. We talked about before we hit record on this show, Isaiah Glasker. I mean, this dude, he just rises to the occasion. And he's not 100% either. But he ends up with 5 tackles, 1 interception, 1 solo. Glasker's big time. I mean, just his presence alone, you've got to account for him every time or else he's going to make you pay. Good things from the defense. I liked what I saw from Parker Kingston offensively. Some of the players on the offensive side, Carson Ryan, Chase Roberts, help your quarterback. Don't drop the ball. You got to take care of that and play a little bit better. But those are some other things that BYU's got to clean up. But by all accounts, you got to feel good about BYU going forward, getting to 6-0.
Yeah, shout out to Parker Kingston for getting over 100 yards back-to-back games. Never happened before in his career. Last week was the first 100-yard game, and then he does it again against Arizona.
What did he say? This is kind of off the cuff. I'm putting you on the spot here, but what did he say in the postgame? He said, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Oh. It was some comment about
tough SOBs.
Them being tough SOBs, Bear and LJ, for being able to run the. I just asked him, what's it like?
Right, you asked him.
Because, I mean, you think about it. Bear runs the ball 22 times. LJ runs it 25 times. LJ's never run it that much before in his career.
51 carries total for BYU, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5.1 carry against one of the better rush defenses in college football.
They leaned on the running game, and it was working all night. I was actually really surprised that Aaron Roderick went away from it at times where, I mean, it was like 3rd and 4. And I'm like, LJ and Bear have been popping off for 5-6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
At one point in the game, LJ was like at 8.6. I'm like, just give him the rock, man. Like, until they prove that they can stop it, just give him the ball.
Here's a deep cut on giving the ball and staying in that backfield. Preston Rex, he looked pretty nice on that catch.
That was a nice
1 catch, 16 yards, running the football, 2 carries, 1 yard, didn't amount to much. But Rex, he got the start technically. They had 2 running backs in the backfield, LJ Martin and Preston Rex, but that catch, man, he looked a little shifty. We saw some good things in fall camp from him. There were times where maybe ball security was a little bit of an issue for Preston. Again, he's learning the position, going from, safety to running back. He was an overall athlete at San Clemente High School. Played a little bit of wide receiver. He could do a lot of different things when he was at San Clemente. Good athlete overall. But I thought Preston, there's some things that you can build on. Like, I still think the loss of Sione Moa is significant for this team, and they miss him dearly, because they just don't have a clear-cut number 2 guy that you can turn to and confidently know that LJ can get a breather and the level of production doesn't drop off significantly.
They do a little bit. His name is Bear Bachmeier.
Well,
the Centaur.
The thing is, though, what I hate, though, is, 22 carries.
It's a lot. And Bear talked about it.
And you're taking a lot of hits, man. You're going to last. Yeah. I was mocking West Virginia last week for giving Wilkins 24 carries. Bear gets 22. Like, BYU just doesn't have anywhere close to a number 2 running back right now. It's just, It is what it is, and that's a tricky spot. Maybe Rex can emerge as that guy. They have to, because Nawahine was on the availability report this week, and Jovesa got basically demoted after that fumble, and for good reason.
Yep.
So, Rex, it's your chance to be that number 2 guy and to be a factor on this team, and hopefully he seizes that opportunity. But that flash on that catch, that was nice. You can build off that. There's some good athleticism there for BYU. Again, Cougs get it done. 6-0 on the season, 33-27 over the Arizona Wildcats. Any final thoughts, Kyle, before we wrap this thing up from Tucson?
I just think that it was really impressive to see, not just the fan base like we always see it on these away games, Mitch, or the home games, just how the team rallies around that. Mm-hmm. I thought the showing tonight was impressive because after the weather delay, it seemed like the crowd was more 50-50-ish. I still think there might have been a little bit more as far as Arizona in the fan base there still. But it was not a 80-20, 90-10 situation that we've seen. I mean, I think to the Colorado and ECU games earlier this season, the other road games, and BYU had a nice showing in those games as well. But it's still, Colorado, like that Colorado sold the place out, and it was mainly a Buffs crowd, right?
But and BYU fans basically all had obstructed views. All they saw straight ahead was that building,
right? But after the game, to be able to see all the royal blue, it's never going to get old for me to see that. I think it's a credit to the fan base and what Kalani and his coaching staff and the program as a whole have built over his 10 years. I just think it's pretty awesome to see, because you don't see it across the board at a lot of these college football states. I mean, we were watching this morning as we were doing Cougar Sports Saturday. We had the Oklahoma State game on. I know they're down and out right now, but that was a team that's had some proud moments even as of a couple of years ago, and that thing was half full, if best. I mean, I think it's impressive that BYU travels as well as they do, and it was fun to see, because I do think that played into BYU's momentum in the overtime periods.
It was impressive. Cougar Nation, they always show up. They always do. They always will be there to support their team through thick and thin. And I will also say, too, props to Arizona fans. We didn't hear any of those chants. That was Brent Brennan kind of put that messaging out to the fan base. I thought they took that. We saw when we were at field level in the fourth quarter in the overtime periods, there was a little bit of Arizona was responding. BYU fans started chanting BYU. Arizona fans did a U of A, and that's fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. That's what you want, like the bickering back and forth of like that. I thought, this is awesome. Like, that's what we want to see from fan bases that are kind of battling and they're chasing a win. That's what you want to see. You don't want to get it to the nasty stuff of shaming a religion. I just bring that up again because, well, the head coach, Brent Brennan, said, hey, be respectful. I thought everyone in Tucson, people were classy to us. I thought it was a great experience. Great. I thought people were very kind. Great experience. I had a great time covering this game, whether it was a win or loss for BYU. Like, I thought this was a great experience covering this game. Tucson, but honestly, though, I thought it was like Arizona's got potential. And that's, I guess, what I come away with is that many of these programs in the Big 12 have a ton of potential. But if they can unlock that fan base consistently, and that could do something really special for those programs. And that's where BYU, it's kind of like a secret sauce. BYU fans being so engaged, so passionate about their team. They just care through thick and thin. They love the Cougars. That's why we do shows like this, because Cougar Nation, they care, man. It lives in your soul. Covering and following BYU football. That's what you do.
I mean, we talked to some diehards on the concourse today where, people are excited about this team, Mitch, and rightfully so. It's a great product right now, and it's a fun team to watch. There's a lot of personality and characters to it, but to the way that this team travels, to the way they are at home, I can't even wait till next week. I mean, rivalry week's always fun, Mitch. I mean, you talk about like the nastiness of some of the chants that BYU's heard and thankfully didn't hear tonight. Like, I mean, I hope that the rivalry can kind of take on some of that, where it's more of a, hey, this is just a sport. Like, there are more important things in life than a football game and a rivalry and all of that. It's fun.
I don't know.
I know.
I'm just
saying, but at the end of the day, like, it's the biggest game on the schedule for the fan bases. But I do think that there's been times in the past where it gets to a nasty level. And I hope that we don't see that this next week, at least, is what I wanted to say.
That's going to do it from Tucson. BYU gets the win, 33-27 over the Arizona Wildcats. Very curious to see how Arizona progresses the rest of the way this season. Noah Fifita, he's a baller. A lot of mad props to that guy. He is a heck of a player. Excited to see what they do the rest of the season. And BYU's got some ballers, too, led by true freshman quarterback Bear Bachmeier. Gets it done for the Cougs. The defense rises to the occasion despite being shorthanded in some key spots. 33-27 in double overtime. That'll do it for this edition of Cougar Tracks. Cougs are now 6-0. We'll talk to you next time here on Cougar Tracks and Cougar Sports Saturday. It's going to be a busy week coming up on KSLSports.com.